Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have war. Starting off in this list today, we have one Nostradamus prediction that is honestly half right at this point. In his book of quatrain poems, he wrote, quote, "Under the opposite Babylonian climate, great will be without the outpouring." I am certainly no prophet, so I had to turn to the internet for some help on what exactly this meant, and apparently this is the prediction that 2022 will be the year we see the first climate war. People have said that this prediction is likely to be between neighboring countries who will be fighting over dwindling resources. We are currently experiencing a war right now with the invasion of Ukraine by its neighbor Russia, but of course that is not over climate change or any kind of resources, which is why I say this prediction is half right. It's a terrifying prediction considering how we are barely through the first 2 months of the year and we are already seeing this kind of conflict. We can just hope this isn't setting the stage for what's to come for the rest of the year. In our number 9 spot today we have hunger. This Nostradamus prediction has to do with this little riddle. He wrote, quote, "Of blood and hunger greater calamity, 7 times oppressed to the marine beach. Monarch of hunger, place taken, captivity." This one is said to mean that he is predicting that this year we will see an increase in world hunger as a result of the rise in armed conflicts. Okay. This list is not the one any of us want to hear. It starts off bad and it just gets worse. We're only on number 9. This is the Roaring 20s, everyone. So yeah, this one's a little nerve-wracking, especially considering the world news right now. Firstly, that's a prediction that there's just gonna be more bad, more war, more weapons. That's certainly never great on its own, but this coupled with an increase in a problem we already see a lot of, definitely makes sense that these two things would be coupled together, but it's just a grim prediction for the future. In our number 8 spot today we have Paris. Okay, I'm starting to see a theme with these predictions and I'm gonna be honest, I don't like it. I'm glad that Nostradamus doesn't have a 100% batting rate, or else this year would be shaping up to be absolutely terrible. In his book of quatrains he wrote, quote, "All around the great city will be soldiers lodged by fields and cities." People who are much smarter than me have said that this means that he is predicting that this year Paris will be under siege. That would be terrible and completely unexpected. Maybe people are misinterpreting it though, and it means something different. Like perhaps there will be some sort of closures or something like that within the city. I don't know. I'm just trying to be glass half full, but it's hard. Again, this guy's been wrong plenty of times before, so let's just hope this is all a case of that. In our number 7 spot today we have battle. Okay, this is a Nostradamus prediction that eerily has almost come true at this point. He wrote, "Bluehead shall whiteheads harm in such degree as France's good to both shall e'er amount." The first time I read that out loud, I thought to myself, what in the world does that mean? Seriously. These predictions couldn't be any less clear, but thank goodness for the internet people who deciphered it for me. People believe that this prediction is meant to mean that war will be reaching Europe in the spring of this year. This is certainly a terrifying prediction based on what is currently going on in the world, and with all of the uncertainty that lies around it, it definitely is a dark one. Maybe it's all just a coincidence, but there are people out there who really believe in Nostradamus's prophetic powers, so maybe it's not. I mean, this is a prediction that I actually already talked about in another list, but with everything that's happened in the last few months, it seems as though now it has a completely different meaning and likelihood. In our number 6 spot today we have inflation. This Nostradamus prediction is said to be about inflation. He wrote, quote, "No abbots, monks, no novices to learn, honey shall cost far more than candle wax, so high the price of wheat that man is stirred, his fellow man to eat in his despair." Well, that doesn't sound good. We can all take our pick of reasons as to why this prediction is potentially likely to come true. It's really that ending line that has me feeling a little nervous though. Is Nostradamus telling us to eat the rich, or is he just telling us how bad things might become? Many believe that this prediction is his way of explaining that inflation and increase in starvation may just lead to some sort of a rebellion. I mean, that isn't the most far off prediction I've ever heard of, and if things unfortunately do go that way, I could see something similar coming true, but maybe I'm just easily persuaded. In our number 5 spot today we have iRobot. This is a prediction that comes from Nostradamus and is actually about our ever increasing evolving technological world. Technology in our world evolves very rapidly, and it's tough to make predictions about what this year holds, but this prediction for Nostradamus reads, quote, "The moon in the full of night over the high mountain, the new sage with a lone brain sees it, by his disciples invited to be immortal, eyes to the south, hands in bosoms, bodies in the fire." Many people believe that this prediction made by Nostradamus is said to be about, quote, immortal disciples and the potentially negative consequences which people are taking to mean artificial intelligence. AI is everywhere now, from smart speakers, text prediction, facial recognition, self-driving cars. It's not just that like weirdly, insanely human-looking robot with realistic facial expressions, although that also does exist. People for years have been predicting something negative coming in terms of all of this new AI technology, but perhaps the first to do it was Nostradamus himself. In our number 4 spot today we have the dictator. This Nostradamus prediction is an interesting one for sure. According to those who interpret his prophecies, he is said to have predicted that in 2022 we will see the death of a dictator. Of course, he didn't predict exactly who this would be. If he did, that would be pretty insane. If he was even able to predict who would be a dictator in 2022, I would be thoroughly impressed. But since he didn't, of course people want to speculate about who this could be. I always find it so interesting to hear these kinds of predictions because I always wish I could know what exactly led them to think that this might come true. It's not really like an outlandish prediction if it were to come true, but it would be very strange how it could have been accurately predicted so long ago. Maybe it won't be a dictator in the end though, maybe it's just some sort of powerful leader or a leader of a large company perhaps. It's tough to say for sure, but I feel like if this one ends up coming true, we'll definitely know about it. In our number 3 spot today we have the end. This one comes from the list of Nostradamus predictions that he had, and it predicts a pretty grim situation. Apparently he wrote, quote, "Few young people half dead to give start." While a vivid imagination might be able to come up with a few ideas of what this might be predicting, apparently people have said that this prediction is intended to be about the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. It's both good and terrifying to know that people have been thinking of the zombie apocalypse for centuries. It's not just part of our modern world. Apparently Nostradamus wrote that the apocalypse would start off with a Russian scientist and lead to total extinction. Okay, well, that's something nice to look forward to. I started off glass half full and I'm trying to keep it that way, but at this point, it's getting hard. Maybe all the doomsday preppers are right. At this point, only time will tell. In our number 2 spot today, we have asteroids. This is one of those predictions that seemingly pops up every year and doesn't just come from long ago. It's basically the idea that an asteroid is going to impact Earth. It's a prediction that no one wants to come true, but for some reason, we always guess that it might. It's really weird. Humans are strange. Nostradamus' words were, quote, "Fire do I see that from the sky shall fall." I'm not exactly sure if he means like a small meteor shower kind of thing, or if he's talking dinosaur mass extinction, it's the apocalypse sort of a thing, but either way, it's a little unnerving. Last year in 2021 we had a quote near miss with asteroid 2021 GW4, but it wasn't thought to be a huge deal either way because it is likely that it would have broken up in our atmosphere. Right now it is said that the next near miss prediction is for around 2029, and that's from scientists. So at this point I feel like we're probably safe, but who's to say for sure? People have also suggested that perhaps instead of asteroids that this prediction might be about missiles falling from the sky, which is honestly just as terrifying as the asteroid. So at this point this prediction is looking all bad. In our number 1 spot today we have gone nuclear. This Nostradamus prediction is one that could certainly become a reality at any point, which is something that is pretty terrifying. In this day and age, the threat of nuclear attack, while not an imminent threat, is always kind of there hanging out in the back of people's minds. Like, it's not something most people think about every day, but it's just something that we know people possess the technology and the ability to do. You know? And like I've mentioned many times today, with the things that are currently going on, it seems as though it's more than just a hanging out at the back of our minds kind of thing. It's a scary reality. That's why this Nostradamus prediction is just a little eerie, as he claims a nuclear will explode in 2022, and if this wasn't bad enough, it has some very harsh implications. He is said to have predicted that this explosion will lead to changes in not only the climate, but also the Earth's position. I'm not exactly certain what he means by the Earth's position, but I do know that that sounds terrible and terrifying. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have climate change. I know some of you don't want to hear about this one, but it is always on the list of predictions for years to come, and we're just starting off with it and getting it out of the way. The climate is a delicate thing, and our presence here on Earth has a great effect on it. The climate can make our lives significantly easier, or it can make our lives significantly harder, so it really is something that is important to note. 2021 saw both heat and cold records broken, and it saw its fair share of natural disasters, floods, and fires. It is predicted that 2022 unfortunately won't be much different, sadly, which is not what we had hoped for. There aren't necessarily any exact predictions surrounding the climate, it's just the idea that we will continue to see some of the most extreme weather we have ever seen. In our number 9 spot today, we have the climate war. Speaking of the whole climate change thing, this is a prediction for 2022 that comes from Nostradamus. There's a couple more of his predictions on this list today, so if you don't know, Nostradamus was a man who lived in the 1500s, and he was an astrologer, poet, and what is called a seer, as he published a book of quatrain poems that are said to predict future events, and some of these predictions have actually come true. One of his predictions he has for 2022 is, quote, "Under the opposite Babylonian climate, great will be without the outpouring." I read that and didn't know what it meant either, but some people smarter than me have come to the conclusion that this is a prediction about the start of a climate war. It is said that this war is going to be a result of a lack of resources, and whichever country is involved is going to begin attacking the country next to them to try and gather their resources. Who knows if this will come true? I guess that's why it's called a prediction, and if it were to, who knows what countries would be involved. In our number 8 spot today, we have an economic recession. It is very obvious that the entire pandemic and last few years have had an unprecedented effect on the economy. I know every country is in a very different phase right now, and a lot of people have different mindsets, but I can say, as a Canadian, every time we start to get somewhere where things are opening back up and they feel like they're on the right track, everything just gets shut right down again and we're back in March of 2020. The constant opening and closing of businesses is definitely taking its toll on the economy, as well as travel restrictions affecting tourism, general anxiety causing people to not go out and spend their money, all the Amazon packages. The pandemic has flipped our lives completely around, and the economy has taken a big hit because of it. This is exactly why people are predicting that in the new year we will see an economic recession. I hope this one really isn't true, because people all over the world have struggled enough for the last couple of years. In our number 7 spot today, we have the glacier. This is a prediction that comes to us from Baba Vanga, the late Bulgarian mystic and clairvoyant who has made a series of predictions, some of which have eerily come true. One of the predictions of hers for this year is a bit of a strange one, and considering our current global climate, this is one we are all definitely hoping isn't true. She predicted that this year an ancient glacier is going to melt due to global warming, which is probably a decently accurate prediction, but she also said that within this glacier will be a virus, and once the glacier melts, this virus will now be released to the world. The worst part is that this is said to be a virus that humans simply cannot handle. This isn't where her predictions for humanity end, so I'm not exactly sure how she expects us to recover from that, but I'm just gonna wait and see, I guess. In our number 6 spot today, we have a world power. Back with another Baba Vanga prediction. This one is a little murky as to what exactly it means, but there are some theories. She apparently said that the year will see 3 giants unite and a strong dragon will seize humanity. Remember how I said exactly what this means is a little unclear? People have speculated that perhaps the 3 giants could be 3 of the most powerful countries, maybe the United States, Russia, and China, but seeing all these powerhouse countries unite would be quite a shocking prediction if it were to come true. There are others who think that maybe the strong dragon part is in reference to some country rising into a more powerful position than we've seen before. At this point, who knows exactly what the next year is going to hold, but I think it's pretty safe to say that anything can happen. In our number 5 spot today, we have a conflict. Nostradamus was busy when it came to predicting things for 2022, so here's another one of his best guesses. He wrote, quote, "Of blood and hunger greater calamity, 7 times oppressed to the marine beach, monarch of hunger, place taken, captivity." Yeah, again, another one I simply did not understand, but it is apparently basically saying that his prediction is that 2022 will see an increase in world hunger due to the increase in armed conflicts. That's like a double whammy of terrible. As a result of this uptick in hunger, there will also be more movements in terms of population. I'm talking about more people immigrating to other countries in order to escape these terrible conditions. He doesn't seem to mention anything in the prediction of which countries he thinks will be affected or where those fleeing will make their new home, but that would be pretty freaky if he somehow had the ability to name all of those specifics. For now, we can definitely take this slightly vague prediction and just hope it doesn't come true. In our number 4 spot today, we have locusts. This Baba Vanga prediction might actually be pretty accurate because it's something that has been seen in the past and something that has been quite a relevant issue in the last few years, especially in 2020. Baba Vanga has predicted an apocalypse-style scene in India where she believes swarms of locusts will be next year. Like I mentioned before, in 2020, India was dealing with the worst swarms of locusts that were seen in decades, so it's entirely possible that 2022 might be an absolute nightmare for them as well. There are plenty of reasons why this poses a major problem, but one of the main ones is that those bugs can absolutely devour food and they reproduce fast. Lots of quick, hungry bugs is a really huge dilemma for farmers everywhere, and a couple of years ago this issue was really impacting crops. Hopefully next year won't see these same issues come back. Like I've said before, people have dealt with enough in the last few years. In our number 3 spot today, we have catastrophes. This one kind of goes hand in hand with number 10 on this list that we started off with, climate change, but this one is just getting a little more specific and is actually about natural disasters, more specifically earthquakes and tsunamis. Another Baba Vanga prediction, she was able to predict the 2004 tsunami, so this 2022 prediction is made all the more eerie. She claims that in 2022 we will see an increase in multiple different kinds of catastrophes, but especially earthquakes and tsunamis. She then went on to explain more about who she believes will be hit the hardest and which places will be impacted the most by the severe weather. She said that several Asian countries as well as Australia will be seeing intense bouts of flooding. Nostradamus also had a prediction for 2022 regarding this, except for his, he predicts that Japan is going to be seeing an earthquake that is going to appear in the middle of the day. Part of this is a good thing because the timing of it will potentially minimize the human loss, but he does make it clear that he believes the material loss will be great. These sorts of things are very scary to think about because there isn't really a way to predict them for certain, and there is really nothing we can do about Mother Nature. In our number 2 spot today, we have Paris. For one last Nostradamus prediction for this list today, we have this super worrisome one. He apparently wrote, quote, "All around the great city will be soldiers lodged by fields and cities." This is said to mean that for 2022 he is predicting that Paris will be under siege. For what reasons? Well, that remains unclear. There are other ways to interpret this prediction, like perhaps it's more so stating that the city will just be kind of closed off for a while, but truly, who knows? I wish the people who made these predictions were a little more direct with them, but hey, who am I to critique Nostradamus? At the end of the day, the good news is that this is just a prediction, and Nostradamus has been wrong before. It just puts people on edge to hear these scary thoughts, which totally makes sense. I wonder if Nostradamus predicted that a random Canadian would be here talking about his poems into a camera to upload to the internet for thousands of strangers. In our number 1 spot today, we have a water crisis. Water is obviously something that is necessary to sustain life here on Earth, and although it may not seem like it, there is a limited amount of it. This prediction has to do with water, or more so, the lack of it. It is predicted that in 2022, because of a multitude of reasons that includes increases in population as well as river pollution, that we will soon be seeing a lack of drinking water. It is unclear exactly who they think this will affect the most, but it's a really scary thought regardless. It has long been predicted that we will one day be fighting each other for the little drinkable water we have left, and the closer we get to that being a reality is pretty terrifying. I think it's pretty safe to say that we can all likely agree that this would be a very bad scenario for people to be in, but I also think it's important that we acknowledge how many people there are who currently don't have any access to clean or running water. This isn't a new problem, unfortunately, and I really wish we could be predicting the opposite of this one.
My job is to think about the end of the world.
Starting us off in at number 10, we have another ice age. Okay, now that was obviously from the movie Day After Tomorrow, one of my all-time favorites, but a lot of people actually wonder if an ice age can happen again. Our last ice age was about 11,700 years ago. Experts have been tracking when the next ice age can happen, and it's believed it can happen within the next 1,500 years, which is not too far distant into the future. I mean, that's about 15 generations from now when you think about it. At number 9, Venus can actually go into a collision course with Earth. Both these planets are very similar in size, and Venus is often called Earth's twin sister. The inner solar system is very unstable, and Jupiter's gravity can change Mercury's orbit around the Sun, creating a new path. This new path can be on a collision course with Venus, which would cause a domino effect, removing Venus from its orbit and on a collision course with Earth. Venus crashing into Earth would be absolutely catastrophic, and nothing would be able to survive an impact like that. Maybe this is why Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk, my hero, wants to become a multi-planet species, because maybe they know the end is near. Now at number 8, we have a massive asteroid that would demolish the existence of humans on Earth. There are so many doomsday asteroids that are coming closer and closer to Earth. There are so many like near misses. Absolutely terrifying. Back in 2004, it was predicted that 99942 Apopus had a 2.7% chance of hitting Earth by 2029. That date's coming up pretty damn soon, and I couldn't even find if the odds have increased or decreased over the time that it was predicted. Just days ago, NASA has revealed that an asteroid they're calling JF1, that is the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza, might be on a collision course with the Earth on May 6, 2022. That's even closer, and that can have devastating consequences we wouldn't even want to know about. Experts believe it could hit the Earth with 230,000 tons of TNT, which is 15 times larger than the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. About 90,000 to 146,000 people died because of the atomic bomb. Number 7, we have disease. We're no stranger to the damages caused by disease. By now, we have probably all heard about the epidemic influenza virus, right? There's also the Spanish flu, the H1N1 influenza pandemic that happened back in 1918 and infected 500 million people. The population back then was about 1.6 billion, so we're talking about over 30% of the world being infected. Out of the 500 million, 50 to 100 million people died. Well, the reason why I brought this up is because pandemics are still happening, and we have had some close calls with SARS. There was Ebola. Do you guys remember those scares? I mean, it was pretty recent. Well, scientists have actually been able to make the H1N1 virus in the lab to try to make a cure for the virus, so hopefully there's not a breach there and it doesn't get into the wrong hands, or there's not another breakout of the H1N1 virus that they created. With that question on our minds, let's move on to number 6. We have a supervolcano. When talking about world-ending volcanoes, we always turn to one very intimidating volcano. We're talking about the Yellowstone Caldera volcano located in Yellowstone National Park in the United States. Experts believe we could be due for this volcano to erupt again, like at any moment. It erupts every 600,000 years on average, and it's been about 631,000 years since it's last erupted, so we're pretty overdue right now.
But it could be the world's most powerful natural weapon of mass destruction. If it erupts, scientists say it would be more powerful than 60 million atom bombs.
At number 5, we have World War III. Have you guys ever heard that saying? I don't know how World War III will end, but World War IV will begin with sticks and stones. With all of the technology that we have in the modern era, we can easily just blow up the whole world and leave nothing behind. World War III has been talked about for years, and pretty recently, due to all the high tensions between the powerhouse countries, there's been America and the Russian feud. Also America and China, they have their huge tariff wars going on right now. North Korea has been threatening America. North Korea might have some pretty powerful nuclear weapons that can destroy all of America, and it's a pretty scary world that we live in right now. At number 4, we have the sun running out of fuel.
The sun will become about as big as where the Earth's orbit is. So a likely scenario for the end of the world is that we're going to be inside the sun for a while.
I think that woman is a little bit cuckoo. I think she's a little bit cray, because how would we be inside of the sun for a while? The whole planet would just melt away. In the summertime, the sun is already super hot. I can't imagine if we were any closer to it. Well, we're not really talking about getting closer to the sun. We're talking about what happens when the sun runs out of fuel, because that will happen. Well, it's called core hydrogen exhaustion, but we don't have to worry about this anytime soon. This will begin to happen around 5.4 billion years from now, and I wonder what humans will look like then, and what planets we're going to be living on. Because we're going to have to evacuate Earth, and maybe even our solar system, to go find another sun. Since running out of the sun's fuel would take so long, let me talk about something a bit more plausible, and it can happen a lot sooner, which is pretty scary, and this comes in at number 3. We're talking about giant solar flares from the sun. A solar flare is a sudden flash of increased brightness on the sun. Looking directly at the sun for just a few seconds could already blind you. Imagine if Earth was hit by solar flares. First of all, there would be fires everywhere, because it would be so hot and everyone would become blind if they weren't on fire already. This would look like a nuclear apocalypse. Is this real life right now? Okay, that got really intense, and luckily it was just a movie, but it could be reality. Can you guys name the movie of the clip I just showed you guys? Let me know in the comment section below. I bet all of you guys know it. It's a big movie. Number 2, being sucked into a black hole. Our galaxy is known to be full of black holes, and this is one thing Stephen Hawking devoted his whole life towards, and he always warned us about something coming. Well, what is he talking about? A black hole's gravity is so strong, it just swallows everything. Stellar black holes have a radius of about 300 kilometers, which sounds like it could be plausible for it to swallow up Earth. We don't even need to be in a direct collision course with a black hole. They also have a gravitational pull around them, so who knows, maybe we're already in a black hole's gravitational field and are slowly going closer and closer. Finally, at number 1, robots. Yes, the theory that robots will take out humanity and take over the world could be very real.
Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
That was Sophia, and it seems like she wants to destroy us and take over, and it already seems like it's happening. Sophia back in 2017 actually became a citizen of Saudi Arabia. Computers are becoming so intelligent that they're now becoming self-learning. Machines and robots are building themselves. They seem to have a language we cannot understand, so it's a matter of time where they say, it's time.